Nigeria ratifies AFCFTA membership ahead of December 2020 deadline. Electricity scheme to launch for 5 million households not on national grid. Now, global stock markets open negative following downward trend set in U.S. Plus, Brent crude tilts towards $45 a barrel on COVID-19 vaccine hopes and U.S. oil stocks inventories. The program is Business Express reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital, and I am Liakating Babatunde. The Federal Executive Council has formally approved the ratification of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement signed by Nigeria in July last year. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, announced this while briefing journalists after the virtual meeting of the Council presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. These and other resolutions were adopted towards enhancing safety and security, digital economy, healthcare delivery, and roads infrastructure.
The effective date ought to have been July 2020, but as a result of the pandemic, it was postponed to the 1st of January 2021, and all member states were given up to the 5th of December to ratify the agreement. That's precisely what Nigeria did today. So effectively, we hope that by 1st of January 2021, the agreement will come into force.
OPEC Secretary General Mohammed Sanusi Barkindo at a ministerial roundtable hosted by the Gas Exporting Countries Forum (GECF) on natural gas and its key role as an energy source in a post-COVID world says natural gas will be the fastest growing fossil fuel between 2019 and 2045, and after oil will remain the second largest contributor to the energy mix in 2045 at 25%. In the long term, the Secretary General emphasized that all forms of energy, including oil and natural gas, will be needed to support the recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic and meet future energy needs, adding that oil is forecast to retain the largest share in the energy mix until 2045.
We have taken these extraordinary decisions and continue to implement them faithfully. The demand recovery globally remains at a very slow pace, below the expectations that the second half of the year would see a V-shaped recovery, a strong rebound, and hence we tapered the 9.7 million barrels a day to 7.7 in August, which we are now implementing.
Oil prices rose on Thursday, taking the week's gain to more than 11% and growing hopes that the world's major producers will hold off on a planned supply increase as soaring cases of COVID-19 dent fuel demands. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures climbed 12 cents or 0.3% to $41.57 a barrel, while Brent crude futures rose 9 cents or 0.2% to $43.89 a barrel. Algeria's energy minister said on Wednesday that OPEC Plus, grouping the organization of the petroleum exporting countries OPEC and other suppliers including Russia, could extend current production cuts of 7.7 million barrels per day in 2021. Both Brent and WTI have extended this week, lifted by hopes that a global coronavirus pandemic can be brought under control. Now, a study by Google and International Finance Corporation (IFC) shows that the internet economy has the potential to contribute $180 billion to the economy of Nigeria and other African countries by 2025. The findings of the study highlighted the growth opportunities within the continent and provided a roadmap for investment opportunities. The report notes that despite the delayed economic growth in Africa and the rest of the world as a result of the COVID-19, African Internet gross domestic product might grow to $712 billion by 2050. Analysts said this growth in Internet economy will be driven largely by private consumption, strong developer talent, public and private investment, investments in digital infrastructure, and new government policies and regulations. Based on the Inclusive Internet Index, South Africa, Tunisia, Morocco, Kenya, and Nigeria were identified as countries with thriving internet economies. We'll take a break and Business Express continues shortly. Now, artisans in many parts of the country have begun receiving the 30,000 Naira grant from the federal government under the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Survival Fund. The one-time grant is meant to support MSMEs across the country to keep their businesses afloat through these challenging times. The MSME Survival Fund scheme is a component of the Nigerian Economic Sustainability Plan (NESP), which was developed by the Economic Sustainability Committee established by President Muhammadu Buhari in March this year. Today on the program, we were supposed to have the Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, Mariam Yelwaji Katagum, to tell us more about the grants, but she's at a presidential assignment this morning. So Mr. Tola Adekunle Johnson, the project coordinator for the Survival Fund, will talk to us on telephone. The minister will be on the program in person at 3 p.m. Friday. Hello, Tola. Thank you for joining us this morning on the program.
Hello, good morning.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, great. Can you just walk us through what is the current status of funds being disbursed and, of course, the status of the beneficiaries?
Disbursement started at some point last week for the first stream of states. If you may recall, we had divided the states into 3 different streams of 12. So the first 11 states started getting payments last week. We've been going around to monitor who is collecting, what they are collecting, and the process. Because it's one thing to disburse, it's another thing for you to disburse to the wrong hands, or for people to be collecting some money from this money. You know, both the president and the minister of state have insisted that it is very critical to monitor that no one is collecting money from these people, either pre-disbursement or after disbursement, basically as a condition to facilitate their approval. We've done we did one in Abuja yesterday, but as we speak today in Lagos, we'll be going to, I think, if Bariga or thereabouts, where they've disbursed, let's to go and see exactly those that have collected as well. And as we speak, the second stream is being, they are being enumerated, and we hear that that enumeration process will be done very soon. And then once we get an approval from the steering committee, we'll be able to go and disperse to those ones as well. So that's where we are as we speak with the artisan scheme.
Okay, so are you taking stock of what the beneficiaries are doing with these funds you're giving them? Do you have an idea what you're doing with the money?
Okay, so when we decided to use their different associations as the angle tell them that, listen, give us your most hardworking artisans in your different groups, people that naturally, if without the disaster of COVID-19, will have been doing their own thing without needing anybody to support them. However, we know that COVID-19 has hit, so give us those ones that that if we give them 30,000 naira, they'll be able to use it to add some form of value to whatever trade that they are applying. And this is what we hope we have done, and this is what we hope that we have been doing. You need to listen to some of the testimonials, and people tell you what they've been able to do with 30,000 naira. Some of us just think, some of us believe that 30,000 naira is not a lot, but for this set of people, they'll tell you how creative they've been with this 30,000 naira that they've received, and the fact that it is totally free. So basically that's another added addition to the scheme as well. So I believe that we've been able to a large extent get the people that are disbursing to are those that will judiciously use this fund, and they've been very, very appreciative of what the federal government is doing. Very, very.
Okay.
Across the country.
Okay, can you just once more just talk us through the next step and who are the beneficiaries in this next step, as well as their locations across the country?
If you mean the next step of the next step is like I said, is the states are being enumerated. We do them in clusters of 12. So some of those states are being enumerated right as we speak, and they would after enumeration we'll do verification. After verification, we generate what you call a white list. A white list means that everybody on this list have been spoken to. We've done their verification, their BVN matches. They have their different artisans numbers, and it looks like this is a very clean list. We are good to pay. Once the PDO gets that, I go to the steering committee headed by the Minister of State. They go through it, do some interrogation, and then either approve or disapprove whatever it is that they have questions with, whatever they are not comfortable with. They ask questions. Once they get clarification on what they want, they approve. Once the approval is done, the next stage is for the Bank of Industry, who is managing our fund in this case, to make payments. And that's what we have done with the first stream. That's what's going to happen with the second stream and the third stream.
Okay, so still looking at the streams now, have you been able to project the outputs and maybe the performance of the beneficiaries now that they are being supported? Do you have any projections? And are you concerned that a second wave of coronavirus might occur in Nigeria? What are the plans in case the wave comes?
Okay. Like I said, we only just started disbursing last week. Basically, so by the time we are done with the third, don't forget that the artisan scheme is artisan and transport. So for us to get a full picture of what we're doing and the impact, we need to actually have disbursed to the transport sector as well. Basically, so that now gives us a balanced platform to assess what we have done and how well it has been taken and received by the country. Then with regards to the issue of second wave, well, we are praying that does not happen. But if the reality on ground says that will happen, then when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. But as we speak, I know that federal governments, like any other government in the world, are also preparing for that, basically, and in due time, they will let the entire country know what will be done once we get to that stage. But we are all hoping. The rest of the world, the entire world is hoping that we do not have another serious wave of this COVID-19 pandemic that will affect our businesses ever again. But if it comes, if and when it comes, the government is not folding its hands. There are already people having discussions to say that, supposing this happens, how do we go about it? So those discussions are ongoing. But at the appropriate time, the entire public will be allowed to know exactly what steps the government is going to take.
Okay.
But we are not folding our hands. You can be rest assured that the government is not waiting for the wave to come and take a decision.
Okay.
They are being very proactive.
All right. Thank you very much, Achola, and it's been nice speaking with you this morning.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Yeah. The Central Bank of Nigeria Real Sector Support Facility has been described as a key element in the development of agro-allied industries due to its strategic importance to the sustainability of indigenous companies in the country. On this edition of Surviving COVID-19, Dauda Mohammed visited Sunti Golden Estate, where efforts are on to reposition for the post-COVID-19 era.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Sunti Golden Sugar Estates Limited, the first private greenfield sugar estate in the country, is a 60 billion naira investment by the Flour Mills of Nigeria through a collaborative effort of the Central Bank of Nigeria, which supported the actualization of the project with funding and other regulatory incentives. Situated on a 17,000 hectare piece of arable farmland in Mokwa local government area of Niger State, Sunti Golden Sugar Estates has the capacity to process 4,500 metric tons of sugar daily when fully operational, which is expected to fill the gap in Nigeria's sugar deficit. Since inauguration of the sugar estate in 2018 by President Muhammadu Buhari, the Nigeria's Apex Bank, through its real sector support facility, has been able to ensure the operational capability of the sugar estate is maintained.
Agro-allied businesses need time, longer gestation, because before the businesses can start bringing returns on their investment. So it was important that we had this support from Central Bank of Nigeria for long-term funding and at single-digit cost.
Despite interventions from the CBN, unforeseen challenges still hampered optimal operational capacity of the estate.
We are working very closely with the Nigerian Control Center. We are also working very closely with the MES. That's the mainstream electrical company. Unfortunately, we are told that it is 1 in 100 years flood for this year, and nobody prepared for the kind of water that we are experiencing in Sunti.
The Central Bank of Nigeria has set aside a 500 billion naira real sector support facility as intervention fund for agro-allied industries in the country.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
The Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) has issued pre-notice on the cancellation and withdrawal of a certificate of registration of inactive capital market operators. The SEC stated in the circular that the listed 157 capital market operators were registered by the Securities and Exchange Commission for various functions in the Nigerian capital market. However, the CMOs have consistently failed to render their statutory returns to the Commission, had their capital eroded, while others were affected by policy changes. SEC emphasized that the hard copies of the presentations should be forwarded to the Commission's head office, while soft copies should be sent to the email addresses they had provided. And as a result of this, the Commission requested the affected CMOs to make presentations on or before 13th November 2020, given reasons why their registrations should not be cancelled. And still, with the stock market, equities sustained gains Wednesday, adding 1.9% at the close of trade. The NSE All-Share Index closed above 33,000 basis points, hitting 24-month high as market capitalization recorded 324.63 billion naira gain. Investors exchanged 858 million shares valued at 9 billion naira. The market, which has just opened for Thursday trading, is expected to sustain bullish run on improved investor sentiments attributed to global happenings. And away from home, Asian stocks rose towards a more than 2-year peak this Thursday, buoyed by sustained global stimulus efforts and hopes of a coronavirus vaccine. Boss De Abel has a summary of trading in markets across the globe this Thursday.
On the global scene, stocks in Asia Pacific were little changed in early Thursday trade following an overnight bounce for tech stocks on Wall Street as a recent rotation into cyclicals paused. Nikkei topped 0.68%, while Shanghai Composite depreciated by 0.13% and the Hang Seng Index also dropped 0.44%. European stocks are expected to follow their U.S. counterparts lower Thursday as U.S. futures were lower on Wednesday evening following a strong session for tech stocks. FTSE is seen opening 85 points lower at 6,382, DAX down 115 points at 13,216, and CAC 40 also 52 points lower at 5,445. In Africa, stocks opened mixed, with Nairobi's all-share, Namibia's overall index, and Tunisia's Tunidex posting gains, while South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 and Ghana's GSE Composite started negative. Boss De Abel, Business Express.
Soybean stockpiles in the United States are set to shrink to a 7-year low by next year, while domestic demand jumped to an all-time high. But prices are notably lower than in previous low supply years. Let's see how commodity prices are faring in the global market. The US dollar rose and the safe haven yen weakened again on Wednesday as markets continued to adjust to higher interest rates and prospects for economic growth. Let's take a look at prevailing exchange rates in early Thursday markets. This is where we end this edition of Business Express. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us on Twitter and the handle is NTA News Now. Don't forget to use the hashtag BizExp. Join us again 3 p.m. on Friday. I am Leah Katung Baba Tunde. Please stay safe.